Hi, welcome back to Love, Laugh, Teach. I'm Nikki, and today we're going to be working on number bonds. I always like to explain that number bonds are just a way of showing how a whole number could be broken down into two smaller parts, or how two small parts could be brought together to equal a whole number. I always like to use a story with number bonds just because it really is a tricky skill for students, especially in the kindergarten level and even the first grade level. So I always like to have a story for my students to remember. That way they can kind of use that story when solving their own number bond problems. So for this equation, I always like to tell my students that that top box, or that box that's all by himself, is actually the king. Now, the king in this village is actually in charge of making cookies. So he decides how many good cookies are going to be made in all. And I always include those words in all because that's going to help down the line, not only in number bond problems, but in problems where students have to find a missing addend, just any type of addition equation as well. So just practicing using that word in all to show that's the total number is fantastic. So I always tell my students that king decided that he's gonna make 7 cookies today. So we're gonna make our 7 cookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, again, I always like to use different characters just because it makes them a little bit more fun for students. So today we're gonna use Anna and Elsa. A for Anna, E for Elsa. And I tell my students that the king decides to give Anna 4 of his cookies. So she's gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4 cookies. I always have my students follow along and color in those 4 cookies as well. Because virtually what we're doing is we're finding the missing addend or the missing part. And then all we have to do is count how many cookies are left for Elsa. So there's 1, 2, 3 cookies left for Elsa. And that is a way to find the missing part. Students will also be given problems where they have to find the whole number. They'll be given 2 parts, but they've got to figure out how to find that whole number. So what I tell them is we use that same king story where we say, okay, that's the king, and this time, does the king have any cookies? No, he doesn't have any cookies. Poor king. But we look and we see that Anna has some cookies and Elsa has some cookies. So let's draw Anna's cookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's draw Elsa's cookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, since the king is always so generous and always gives the villagers cookies, Anna and Elsa decide to share their cookies. They put all of their cookies together and they are going to actually give it to the king as a thank you gift. So we're going to count all of their cookies. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we know that the king is going to have 11 cookies in all. He was given 11 cookies from Anna and Elsa. Now, you can definitely change up the numbers, and I always like to change the type of equation where I will take away the whole number and the students will have to figure out what that whole number would be by adding the 2 parts together, or I may also take away, give them a problem after, and they have to figure out that missing part. It's important to interchange those problems just because you don't want them to get so used to only solving for that whole number that they may forget how to solve for the missing part. So definitely include both of those types of problems. I hope that helps, and I hope to see you next time on Love, Laugh, Teach. Bye.